Thank you. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Through the Keyhole, the show that knocks on the doors of the homes of the famous, finds they're out, but goes in anyway. Tonight, as every week, what we're going to do is to take the keys to two famous, fascinating houses owned by well-known people. And then, with Lloyd Grossman's help, our own original house detective, we'll be taking a privileged peep behind closed doors. But the question is, whose closed doors? Well, to try and find the answer to those questions, we've got three people here who are going to work at the answer. First of all, an author whose books will be read long after Shakespeare, Dickens, and Evelyn Waugh are forgotten. But not until then. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Cox. Secondly, making a welcome return to the county they wish she'd never left, Mary Parkinson. And finally, a man with a bigger range of voices than the Huddersfield Choral Society. Everyone's favourite carry-on comic, Kenneth Williams. Well, now, let me try and tell you a little more about the game. With the help of these magic keys, we'll be taking a careful look inside two fascinating homes, and that should tell us something, maybe a lot, about the person who lives there. All that our friends here have got to do, that's all, is just to work out whose house it is. So, let's join Lloyd Grossman now at house number 1. And watch closely, because remember, the clues are there as we go through the keyhole.
Well, it's very rare to see such sophisticated taste in furniture, isn't it? In fact, this whole room is very sophisticated and very subtle. Once you close the door, you can't even find your way out of it. This is very much the sort of room where James Bond would have a drinks party. It's rather reminiscent of a penthouse suite in the Singapore Hilton. It does have very, very definite Far Eastern touches. There are a lot of Oriental knickknacks scattered around. The lamps look like bunches of bamboo. There's a tremendous selection of bar paraphernalia. Look at all those glasses, for example. And I'm very impressed by the collection of miniatures at the top of the bar. This is a very well-appointed dressing room, isn't it? It's also frightfully butch with all this dark, polished wood. And look at this collection of shoes. Interestingly enough, they're all casual shoes. Maybe this belongs to a sort of laid-back guy who really likes walking. But the best thing about this room is on those mornings when you feel almost too tired to get dressed, just watch this. The mirrored ceiling is one of the best features of this bedroom. It's terribly handy because it means that when you make up the bed, you can see that the sheets are on straight. This is really a room designed for tremendous idleness, isn't it? I mean, look at that huge television set hanging over the bed. Whereas most people like to sleep with a teddy bear by their bedside, this person has a vintage Mercedes. One great luxury in here, and I really think every bedroom should have it, is provided by this little button. Let's press it and you just see what happens. As you may have guessed by now, everything in this house is connected to everything else. So if you're frolicking in the jacuzzi and you think that the local peeping Tom might be having a look at you, all you have to do is this. I think we'll leave this on autopilot. This room is quite interesting because it seems to be very traditional. Look at this fine Tudor paneling, for example. But it's not what it appears to be at all. What it really is a combination of Anne Hathaway's cottage and the Starship Enterprise, because this is the control center of the whole household. Look at this amazing array of switchcraft next to me. From this sofa, you can control everything. Let's just flick a switch and watch what happens.
Much more than this,
And of course, as Frank Sinatra croons slowly in the background on the stereo and you fancy a bite to eat, you don't even have to move from here. Just watch this. Talk about convenience food. The only problem is knowing when to stop. Let's review the evidence. The hotel bar, the mirrored ceiling over the bed, the push-button mania. The question is, what sort of person lives in a place like this? So, David, it's over to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Lloyd. So now, for our home and studio audience, though not for our panel, here's whose house it is. Alan, it's your turn to begin the analysis.
Lloyd said the interesting thing about his shoes, they were all casual. I noticed they were all black. The only person I ever knew had all black shoes was an undertaker. I think this bloke probably drives a hearse. I also noticed all that crystal, which nobody in their right mind would ever buy. I think he shops at Texaco gas stations a lot. And they are all... Is he a driver of some kind?
All right, Mary. Well, you said yes, a driver. So
yes, that's a good clue. And there was a car. I noticed a racing car. Now let's see what we've got. Well, what did I notice? I noticed a very small chair. So maybe he's a very small man, but he's certainly dapper and he likes high tech. I think he's got a very understanding wife. I think he's a man who's never put away his toys. I think he's probably designed that house himself, because if it goes wrong, he's going to be the only man who's going to be able to fix it.
Kenneth, what picture did you get?
Well, it's absolutely staggering. I mean, first of all, I thought it must be somebody exotic, you know, and films. I thought films, because of all that sheesh, I mean, all the stuff coming down off the wall, and the mirrors over in the bedroom. And then I thought, well, no, because I think Lloyd gave us a deliberate clue with the Mercedes motor car. It must be someone with a tremendous sort of, well, international status, I would have thought. International celebrity status. You know,
right.
Grand Prix.
Oh, very good, Kenneth.
Right.
Something like that.
Well, who wants to try first?
I think we know this now, don't we? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I think I
significant
know
that
it.
it's a Mercedes-Benz because he used to drive for them. It's got to be Sterling Moss, isn't it?
Correct. Sterling Moss coming through the keyhole. Well, they were hot stuff there, Sterling, weren't they?
Terrible to be sorted out that fast.
Stage by stage analysed with
What happens
the...
if you get a fuse blown? Are you stuck in bed or with the
Well,
table halfway up?
No, because there are quite a lot of circuits. There are about 196 operations working through, I think, 70-odd circuits. So each one is underloaded, so you're not likely to overload it and blow a fuse. If it does blow a fuse, one of those trigger things comes up, and you just find it and push it down.
What about...
Do you have an understanding wife?
Yeah, oh, I do. Absolutely. I mean, she's moved in. It was designed when I was a bachelor. And now you saw the table come down. Well, Susie, if she's in the kitchen cooking, I say, OK, and then I start to bring... If she's fast, she can get down before it comes down and closes off where we're sitting. So she's quick as well.
And if she doesn't get there in time?
Well, she has to stand outside. No, I can't stop.
And what about when you're busy and you decide to run a bath? What if you forget and get busier on the phone or something? Does the bath overflow? Or
No, the bath runs for 5 minutes, 20 seconds, and then there's about 240 gallons in that sports suit bath, and then it stops. And if somebody else pushes the button, not knowing that I have, A, it lights up. But if they do, then it just empties it. In other words, it's on a full empty. So, no. Touch wood, it can't overflow. It can't.
Is that really your design, or is it somebody who's done it for you?
Oh, no, it's my design. Oh, no, I'm not a lazy person, but I do like to be able to get on with what I'm doing. So if I need a bath, I put my hand out, push a button, and I can carry on with what I'm doing. So I know it's ready in 5 minutes.
Is the mirror over the bed a labour-saving device, or what?
No, that's there for... Well, I was a bachelor at one time, you know, and that lets down... There's a sun lamp above that, actually.
Have you ever tried to put it on the market? People come along and say...
No,
"There we go,
I
want
wouldn't,
something
because
for
it's
us
my
now."
home, and I'd hate to do it, but it would be difficult to find the right person, but there are other people who are as crazy as I am who would buy a place like that, I hope.
Well, Sterling, we have here, as a memento of our thanks to you, the gold through the keyhole key to present you, to say thank you for sharing this time with us. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you very
We've
much.
got to take a break there, and in a moment, Lloyd will be going to house number 2. But in the meantime, our thanks to Sterling Moss. We'll be right back. That was really good. So now let's join Lloyd at house number 2. So watch out for the clues right now as we go through the keyhole.
I see that Bossy Boots has been decorating here. Now, certainly any Victorian gentleman would be absolutely thrilled with the magnificence of this hallway. It really does have a touch of the stately homes about it, doesn't it? And the country house feel is enhanced by this profusion of tennis rackets. And look, there's even a jolly hockey stick here. How super. This array of guns is very interesting because they're not just guns, there's also rather exotic weaponry. Look at these war clubs from the South Pacific. Could this reveal a slightly aggressive nature? So we're dealing with a rather complicated person, to put it mildly. Now let's go past this splendid baronial staircase and see what's lurking underneath it. Of course, 100 years ago, every desirable residence had a wine cellar, and this Des Res has a particularly fine one. Now, you can be sure that whoever lives here doesn't go to the supermarket for his plum, because there are some really fine examples here. And I see that wine isn't the only thing they store down here. Well, this is a suitably palatial setting for the consumption of all that wonderful wine downstairs, and it's chock-a-block with fascinating clues. This object, for example, a fly swatter. It's so handy for those trips up and down the Zambezi, don't you know? So perhaps someone in this house is a traveler, maybe even an ex-imperial civil servant. But what I'm most interested in is the furniture here. They say that a round table is the sign of a democratic family. But this one has a great throne at either end of it, so perhaps there's a little power struggle going on. The color black is interesting as well. Does it mean that someone here has a very somber, lugubrious personality, or are they just trying to hide something? This is quite a splendid artifact. It's the ornament for the navel of a very fat belly dancer. It's really quite rare to find one of those. Now, this room seems to be a sort of music room, but it's a rather difficult room. This piano, for example, very large, very ornamental. Does someone actually play it, or is it just here to raise the cultural tone slightly? Obviously, someone in the family is a very keen wildlife photographer. Stunning composition, I think. Let's have a look at the other end of the room, though, because this is quite a schizophrenic sort of place. Well, this is incredibly comfortable down here. Here I am surrounded by acres of the deepest possible plush text. Yet this room is oddly quite formal. Just look at the fireplace closely. It's almost impossibly grand, rich, and complex. It is very, very, very formal indeed. No wonder His Majesty really feels at home above it, because in many ways, this room feels like a rather grand state drawing room. Now, this is a very complicated and contradictory house. We've seen some very interesting evidence. Just think back on it. The head of the Prime Minister, the Victorian undertaker's dining table, the belly dancer's jewel. What sort of person would live in a place like this? So, David, it's over to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Lloyd. So now, for our home and studio audience, here's Whose House It Is. for a first survey of the profile of this person? Kenneth?
Well, it's jolly difficult as far as I'm concerned. It's very difficult indeed. I mean, it's not your high-class wimpy bar. It's very grand. And I think it's a London house. I think it's in London. And I think with all that, you see, this sort of almost eccentric assembly there, I think there's something to do with travel. I think this is somebody who's travelled, but I think also it's to do with, perhaps, politics.
Nothing wonderful.
Yes. Well fished, Kenneth. Right. That bit of fishing didn't work. Mary, your turn for a quick angle.
It certainly didn't, because exactly what I was going to say, and I told him not to stop until he got applause. So we are looking for a wine-collecting person who likes dressmaking, because there was a tailor's dummy in the hall. And also goes out to shoot. And I don't think the house is in London at all. I think it's a country house. Is it a country house?
I don't know.
No.
Go fishing with that.
They don't know about that. OK, then. I think it might be a woman.
No.
It's obviously not a woman.
No.
All right, so we're looking
Wonderful.
for a man. We're looking for a man
No.
who travels, collects wine,
Could belong to a dog.
and makes dresses.
All right. What do you think, Alan?
A writer.
Well, I think they're very rich. And so we can insult them easily, because it's always easy to insult the rich. They're buffered by all this money. And I can say that I think a lot of that eccentricity is really studied and there to achieve a sort of theatrical effect, by which I'm fishing to say I think this person is an actor of some kind. But it's a rich actor with very real taste, although he may stand at the top of the stairs and shoot the tailor's dummy. He is given, or wants it to be thought that he's given to certain eccentric turns. If Kenneth Williams weren't on the panel and weren't even richer, I would say it would have to be someone like Derek Nimmo or Kenneth, or that sort of eccentric actor.
No,
a Nimmo brand-rich figure.
It can't be Derek.
There was something else Alan got applause for as well.
It's the wine. It's a
wine.
rich, drunk actor who maybe uses a dummy to hold on to when he falls down the stairs.
Does he cook? With the wine? No.
He's eccentric. I mean, that's the thing, and I don't...
Is he TV personality as well as an actor? Does it...
Right. Now, you've got all those things. Have a go, each of you.
Oh, God.
Michael Horton.
Are you inferring? I mean, you could give us a bit of help, couldn't you? I mean, would you say that he's more famous, in fact, as a persona, you know, personality, television personality, than he is performing?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's a sort of Woganoid figure. He's like that.
He's not quite Woganoid, no.
But he is like your own good self. He can't do anything, but he appears in front of a camera. Is he?
Yeah.
Like that.
No,
Hello, good evening. You know, I mean, he does that stuff.
he can't say hello, good evening, and welcome at all. He's very bad at that. But
Does he do
no.
a sort of quiz show like Hugh David, I wonder?
No, not a program like this, no.
No. Does he appear on programmes like this?
Well, he's about to, but do you know who he is? No, you don't, you see. They should have got it, folks. They should have got it. They're so close. They got actor, they got eccentric, but they did not get Spike Milligan. Well, you defied their combined IQs there, Spike.
Yes, it was interesting to hear what they thought I was.
Eccentric, they got actor and so on.
Traveller, yes. That to Leeds, yes.
And traveller.
Got as far as Leeds, yes.
Yes.
A drunk, yes, correct. Yes.
Are you, I saw Getty on those wine bottles. Are you a friend of Getty's?
I'm a friend of Getty's, yes. That's why I can afford them.
Do you make dresses then, Spike? You do make dresses?
Only privately.
And the belly dancer's jewel, where did that come
That came from Ruskin's fireplace at 54 Hunter Street, Bloomsbury, before they pulled it down. Yeah.
That's not a girl, Ruskin's fireplace.
No,
I mean,
Ruskin's
it's a
fireplace
place.
is not a girl.
Yeah.
It's a muted camel with one leg, I think it is, you know.
And now, Lloyd said that those two sort of throne-like chairs showed an autocratic personality.
No,
Is that a sign of that?
It showed a rather good ability to get something very crappy and cheap and make it look good with the coat of paint. I bought them for £5 in a junk shop, that's all. The coat of paint, that's all.
You've got thousands of friends. Do you find you're actually in the country, aren't you, rather than in
Actually, you're almost right. I'm in Barnet, on the borders of Barnet, London and Hertfordshire. Yes.
I felt it was something, yes.
Did you felt it,
Yeah,
did you?
I felt it was something, yes.
Tell me, do you get many many friends visit you, I know, and you've got the space for them, but do you get surprise visitors?
Well, this was an eccentric's house bought by a milliner about 1857, and he put all the plate glass windows, you saw the stained glass windows there, looked very much like a cathedral, and the chap did knock on the door once and said, "What time's confessions?" like this.
What I'd like to know is, what is Mrs. Thatcher doing in the wine cellar?
Yeah.
Getting pissed, I should say.
I mean, all those guns as well. I mean, that wasn't a good clue, because you're anti-blood sports and all that.
No, my father was a ballistics expert, and he has a vast collection of them. And when he died, he left me some of these guns. He sent post them to me in England. So as a memory of him, I put them on the wall. I'm particularly a non-bloodthirsty person.
Yeah.
But didn't you shoot a garden offender once with a gun of some description?
Yes, I did, and very well too. Yes.
But a pellet. A pellet.
It was a pellet, yes.
Held back at the last from giving him one of the blunderbuss numbers.
That's right, yes. That's right.
Shame.
You'll be hearing from my solicitor in the morning.
Yes.
Well, it's such a joy to share your house with, and you're delightful. We've got a souvenir of this occasion. Thank you so much. It's the Through the Keyhole gold key, Spike.
Yes. Thank you. I'll have it valued in the morning, of course.
Well, wait until we're out of town, would you, before you do that. Anyway. Thank you for being with us, Spike. Our thanks to our marvellous panel, to Kenneth Williams, to Mary Parkinson, and to Alan Corran. And our thanks not only, of course, to Spike Milligan, but also to our first guest, Sterling Moss, as well, and to Lloyd Grossman, making house calls. God bless him, very few people do. Until the next time, good night.